welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a video that touches on a few questions that I've received in the comments on previous videos about tattooing, and I've seen this as a reoccurring comment, so I thought it was something that was worth making. It is how I price my work as a tattoo artist, which can be kind of a weird, vague topic to touch on, and there's a lot of different variables that play into how people price their work. But if you're asking me personally, I made a list of the variables that go into how I personally price my pieces, so I thought that I would share it with you, and the list is made in no particular order. So the first one that I have is to check local prices in your city. I would do this by, honestly, I think when I started, I just talked to other tattoo artists who I befriended, and sometimes that can be kind of scary, especially if you're new to the industry, but I think most people are pretty open about that kind of thing, and they should be, at least. I think that that's a fair question to ask, is, asking people if they price their pieces per piece or if they have an hourly rate, and if they do an hourly rate, how much that is, how much their deposits are, and this can kind of help you piece together what an average price point looks like in your area. And obviously that price will probably go up in more expensive cities like LA or New York City, so depending on where you're at, that probably plays a big factor into how your artists are pricing their work and how you should price your work. And to kind of bounce on that is how much your studio rent costs. So if you're in a studio that does commission pricing, then you're going to want to see, what the math looks like on that. If they're doing a flat rate for you, then you can kind of do the math there. Just see what you need to charge to make ends meet with your bills and your finances, and what you need to be making at the end of the month. So that is something that you're going to have to do the math on for yourself, but it's a really, really big portion of your expenses. So I think that that's an important thing to factor into your cost. You're going to want to check what supplies in your city cost, or what supplies cost for you to get. So go through a list of everything that you're going to be using: flipcord covers, your machine, needles. Try and do the math on what each tattoo, an average tattoo, would cost you to do. Luckily, for the most part, I feel like my supplies are relatively inexpensive. Cartridges are pretty cheap. Ink is cheap. I know that ink is cheap, so honestly, I'm a black and white artist too, so it's not like I have a very expensive set of, a full set of colorful inks. I'm working with one ink and it is pretty cheap. So for me personally, that's not a huge factor into how I price things, but for you it might be. Another important thing on top of, studio rent and supply costs is other expenses. So say, like I've said, I use Square Appointments to book my clients, and Square Appointments takes a percentage. I can't name that percentage right off the top of my head, but they take a percentage of my deposits that I have my clients pay when they do book with me. And so I factor that into my pricing. And also other platforms such as Venmo. I use the business Venmo account, and all of those platforms do take a percentage to run their platform, so factor that into it. And then I'd say that the last really important thing is see how your work's healing. How often are your clients needing to come in and get touch-ups? If your work is healing really solidly and they're not getting touch-ups as frequently, you might be able to charge a little bit more. If you're still very much a beginner, then you might want to charge a little bit less, just because your client's going to be coming back in and getting those touched up. So I think that's going to be a little bit of trial and error, and it depends on where your skill level is at the moment. But I think those are the most important things. This was a really quick video, and if you have specific questions bouncing off of those, you can totally leave that down below. But I think those were the most important factors that I could list off the top of my head. And so yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or leave a question in the comment section. But until next time.